Welcome to the final part of our conversation with Luke Ambler. Devastating. We're going to have him back because there's so much more to go over. There really, really is. And it's just such an easy chat. But today, part 5, if you've missed it, please go back and watch part 1 to 4. It's in the playlist. It's beautifully set up on YouTube for you. It's easy. Easy, easy, easy. Today, though, Luke drops some serious wisdom. And I mean serious about finding purpose through pain. And the importance of authentic leadership. I talk about authentic leadership all the time and how to create lasting change, I guess, while staying true to yourself. That's the most important part. Stay true to yourself before anything else. This episode is packed with golden nuggets about life, resilience, and the power of just being real. Just being real. I love it. Can't wait to see where this episode goes with everybody. I'm blown. Anyway, here's Luke. I'm sad it's the last one, but we'll get him back, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it later this year. Take care. Enjoy. Make sure you come back next week for another amazing guest. But for now, here's Luke, final part. Enjoy. You mentioned you got dropped. Why did you get dropped?
New manager. I didn't fit his look. Maybe I didn't think I was good enough. And maybe I wasn't good enough. My dad hates me saying that. I had a chat with my dad. I had a realisation. Maybe I wasn't good enough, Dad. And he was like, nah, I'm not having that. Blah, blah, blah.
Proud dad, right? Looking after his boy.
Yeah. I think sometimes, as men, sometimes maybe we're not good enough. Maybe as humans we're not good enough. But maybe we don't admit that. Where just because I wasn't good enough for that, don't mean I'm not good enough
For something else.
Yeah, if I wouldn't have gone through what I went through there and got let go from Leeds, I would be doing what I do now, which I love far more than playing rugby. So what a blessing I'm on a podcast as a result, with a great gentleman all the way over in Australia.
Stop.
Would that have happened if I was still a rugby player? I don't know. Maybe it would, maybe it won't, but I'm very blessed to get to do what I do now on a day-to-day basis and have the conversations they have and help people to have a laugh and think better about life and think deeper about life. And that's sort of where I wanted to go with on that point about, I think I view all my life as a series of events that happened exactly as they probably should have, whether that's at the detriment to others, which is awful, But I say that because if I could change Mum's car crash, 100%. If I could stop Andy taking his life, 100%. If I could stop my partner, she said, 100%. But I can't. Because I have no time machine. So I'd rather view it in a different way that, okay, I can't change it, but what can I do about it? And I think by doing that, it takes off any regret of what could have been because it can't be, because it happened, whether I liked it or not. And I think sometimes people need to have a bit of a slap in face to say, what's happened to me? I've got to either fight against it or get away from it. So if you're going through a toxic workplace environment, if you can't fight against it, get yourself out of there and go do something else. Because ultimately, the name of the headline of what I said today is, life is short, you've got to enjoy it, right? And you won't always enjoy your job, right? No. But it's a big proportion of your life to not find something you enjoy. I know some people who do jobs that people won't want to do. Tough, hard, labouring jobs, but they love it. They love nothing more. Couldn't think of anything worse than sat public speaking on a podcast. They want to have their hands dirty, digging up ground, and just being with their mates, and getting after it. Some people want to do be funeral directors. Some people want to be hairdressers. Some people, and that's why the society works, because people have different things. But you've just got to enjoy what you do, and if you don't enjoy it, go find something that you do enjoy. And if you can't find something you enjoy for work, make sure you definitely find something you enjoy outside of work, because the other 8 hours, you need to spend time doing some shit you enjoy before you sleep the other 8 hours anyway. So, and as adults, stop doing that. So I think for me, rugby, my mum's car crash, Andy dying, my kids, what happened there, is every single thing taught me the fragility of life and how quite quickly that anything can be taken away. So you owe it to yourself to get a good night's sleep. You owe it to yourself to drink enough water. You owe it yourself to try and eat as best you can. And you owe it yourself to enjoy life. Like, you owe it yourself, because before you know it, you're sat on a deathbed, if you're lucky enough, sat reflecting, did I do everything in my power to live the best life and lead the best life possible? And if not, if you can't answer that now, we can make a change. Like, make a change today, now, and start, because it's never over. It's never over till it's over. So you can make them changes any single day, can't you? And I think you've got to go and do that shit. You've got to go and own that shit. And you've got to lead yourself to be the best version of yourself and the most energetic, playful, joyful, happiest, content version of yourself, while knowing at the same time life's going to smack you in the face a lot as well. you got to keep getting your ass back up.
That was powerful, man. Yeah, I completely agree with every single word. On the subject of jobs and society, I've stopped asking kids now, because it's typical for a teacher. What do you want to be when you're older? I stop asking that. I say, what is your dream? What is your dream? Because you go and make it happen. Go and make it happen. There's 80% of the jobs that these kids will have one day don't exist now, right now.
Mad.
It's up to you. It's crazy. Something I don't know the official stats on it. It can't be official because no one can see into the future. But based on what's happening right now, there's a lot of jobs that are not been invented that these guys will have, and so it's important that they think big. There shouldn't be a box to think outside of, right? People keep saying stop, think outside the box. No, there shouldn't be a box in the first place. So stop putting everything in the box. If you want to be a hairdresser, go and be a hairdresser. That's what makes you happy. 100%. That's your dream. You go for it. I'll help you get there. You want to be a dustbin man? I will help you get there. As long as you're happy doing it, and that's your purpose, though. Absolutely. If it's not, don't go and do it just because. Go and find something that you find purpose in. Was there ever coming towards the end, because I know you've got to go? There was I feel like Andy deserves a bit of a spot. Could you give us a little bit about Andy's personality and who he was to you in your life? I know he was your brother-in-law, but a little bit more.
Yeah, so the Andy were a bit of a shit growing up. He was going with wrong crowd, very different to me. He got in with wrong crowd and he were in and out of institutions, but it really changed his life right into being a really. I don't know how Andy ever got in trouble because he was the most polite, caring young man I'd ever met. He was the first person to stand up and let his auntie sit down, or an adult sit down. He were very polite. The Andy I knew were very soft, very kind, very caring, what the best for his daughter, what the best for life, and the situation he got himself in, with his job and to get himself built up and what to buy a house and really what to be something. So, when he did take his life, it were awful. Andy loved football. He loved Man United.
Yes.
He loved playing football himself. He loved going to gym. He was a big lad in terms of, way he looked after himself. So, it was tragic when Andy passed away, completely tragic because 23-year-old's no age, is it? No age at all, life ahead of him. And I think it's another lesson of that whatever situation he'd got himself in or whatever situation had been bestowed upon him at that moment, he believed that it wouldn't pass. And we're quick to make decisions, aren't we, on where we feel like right now. And I just don't think we should ever make decisions on how we're feeling. We should take a moment to let the storm pass, let the anger pass, let anything else pass that we're feeling, and then make decisions. Same like some days, on the opposite of Andy in terms of where we're at negatively. Sometimes we buy shit, don't we, because we feel good. We're come on, let's go buy a new car. Let's go do it.
I did that.
Yeah, let's stop. Let's work it out. Do we really need this? Do we want that? Do we want to go and take my life? Do I want to go and buy that? Do I want to go and whatever? Actually, let's just
Sit back.
breathe.
Yeah, man. Well, we've got to allow the prefrontal cortex to come on. The regulation part of our brain. That's offline when the limbic system's taking over. We've got to just sit back, like you say, take a breath, let it all come back online. And when that regulation part comes back on, you start to think logically again, don't you? And some people are just so far past that, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
It's funny you said that because my wife, if she were on here now, she'd say I'm the complete opposite in the fact that Luke, to say that he's clearly definitely got ADHD and to some people he's crazy and he's a whirlwind, completely only thinks logically all the time, very never on emotion anymore, ever. Which sometimes I'm like, I wish I could think on emotion, I wish I could, be excited about stuff, but it's like, I don't know if it's from leading Andy's Man Club and stuff, but it's a weird thing of like, okay, if we make that decision, this is what will happen in 5 years, or there's a very good chance of happening. It's very probable constantly about everything, and it's trying to put stuff together in a way that actually still has fun. I'm very fun, I'm very energetic, and people, it's funny because I think very logically about most things, and most people would. But then I did a video recently with some of my staff to say, what's it like working with me? And they all said, well, none of them knew what the other said, and it were either crazy, whirlwind, good chaos, good whirlwind. It were like tornado, but it were always like a bundle of energy, but good, but always is crazy at the same time. So I just think it's interesting about that logic. I think I'm very much like, okay, if we're going to make this decision, how does it affect us long term? And is it worth being excited today about doing that decision? for what?
Yeah.
Even in business, I've got another business with an aesthetics clinic in Halifax, and my wife, sometimes thinks about upgrading a clinic, getting a new clinic, and I'll say, "Why your business doing very well?" None of your clients complain where it is. There's no. What's the benefit of going? Well, it could look this. It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter how it would look. A business is how it operates. It's profit and loss. It's on service. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you're the businessman, I guess. Does she listen to you on that one?
Yeah, she does eventually.
No divorce, please.
No.
Quickly then, because I know we do wrap it up, and luckily for you, you've answered my two final of my three questions already, so I don't need to go on future plans because you've answered that and piece of advice because you've given loads of us. But I just want to briefly touch on that moment because I think it's pivotal. You brought up at the beginning of the episode about you sitting in a cell. What was that like for you in terms of pivotal moments going forward after that?
That was rock bottom because I come from a family. So my dad's one of 6 kids, and then there were 4 stepbrothers who were always in and out of trouble, notoriously bad people. And my dad's always prided himself on really good standards of how he conducts himself. That is, from his upbringing, awful upbringing. So the shame of ringing my dad was like and saying, "Listen, Dad, this is a situation I've got myself in." And it came from someone on a drunken night where I don't even drink. Like I broke up my partner, my rugby career were over, and it just felt like the whole world. I was sat there like, oh my god. But because I told you earlier I'm good at relationships, it was mad because they didn't want to put me back in the cell. They were having me out more. They were sat out talking to me like, "You're not like anyone else we've ever had here before." They knew I were all right.
Yeah.
And eventually they come, I signed a community order thing that says I pay for damage on this door that I'd broken. It were all over. And I was very lucky. But it gave me a mad perception of that is never where I want to end up again. Like in a situation where I let emotion control. So now now we're just speaking to you has now made me realise that emotion got me into trouble.
Yes.
I broke up my partner, I'd seen her out, and then a doorman thought we're too drunk, he's choking me out. I end up fighting him because of who do you think you're grabbing, and rest is history.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, it's like that were a moment where I'm like, I'll never allow myself to be in this situation again. So I'll never put myself in situations ever. Like if I go out, well, I don't go out because I don't like drinking anyway. And then in my head, whatever good comes from it. So I don't need to put myself in a situation like that. I don't need to put, so I'll do other fun stuff. But I do, I'm constantly off traveling. I'm camper van. I'm going to Mount Teedy with my dad. So it were another example of that, back to that thing of just like something bad happened and that were a bad moment that I'd never want to go back to or revisit. But actually, it all worked out after that. So sat there that time with all the emotions going through me, it probably the most pivotal moment of my life because I took full accountability for what I'd done. I took full accountability for where I were at, and I became unapologetically myself after that. That I don't need to pretend to be something that I'm not. You don't need to try to fit in with rugby lads. You don't need to try to be a certain type of energy. Be your fucking self.
Yeah, love it. Luke, if there's anything we've missed from any aspect of your life that you think we should cover over in a minute, what would it be?
Great. I think it's been one of the most enjoyable podcasts I've been in. I think we've delved deep into some stuff that I've never probably ever spoke about. I like the way that we've spoke here, and I think just probably where I've come at perspective, and I apologise if I hadn't gone enough into my own story about life.
We'll do a part 2 later this year.
100%. I just think for me, I just really want to emphasise is that in any singular moment, it could all be over. Business, relationship. And one thing that I found many years ago, my name's Luke Benedict Ambler, so it's the most Catholic name you could probably ever get other than being called Jesus himself. And I got brought up as a Catholic, but I found Buddhism at a period in my life when I would go to Jiu-Jitsu. And there's a big thing in Buddhism about the root of all suffering is attachment. And I truly believe in that. Like we attach ourselves to a concept of how it should be, attach ourselves to a concept of where we should be. But when you can remove that attachment and remove where you should be and accept where you are, life becomes way more beautiful. You accept, okay, that's where my kids are right now. What can we do to get better? I accept that's where my relationship is right now. What can I do to get better? Okay, actually, I'm not actually happy where that's at. So I need to relieve myself from that. But yeah, I just think the big lesson today is that life's going to be over before I know it. Don't put too much emphasis on things that don't really matter. Work out what really does matter and then work your ass off each and every day to be everything that you can be and fulfill yourself in any possible way that you can.
Love it. I never normally tell the kids about my podcast because of some of the dark stories that I have had on here. But there's a lot of wisdom from every episode. I just don't want them to necessarily hear some of the things that we've covered. But this is definitely one episode I can share with some of the high school and primary school kids that I encounter, because I think they can take so much just from this raw conversation of just being a man. It's not even aspects of your journey, just being, just the right tips for those kids. I think it's so valuable. I really do. All right, final question for you, Luke, before you have to go. Your purpose. I always ask the guests to put your purpose into a one simple liner. It's very crystal clear, but I still ask you to put it into a line. What would that line be?
It actually might not be as simple as people would think. Mine is to just be a good bloke. And I think if I can be a good bloke, it's actually to be a good dad.
Yeah.
And I don't think the beautiful of that is there isn't really a measure, because you don't actually know you've got it wrong with your kids till you've got it wrong.
That's right.
And they're going to come to a point where they're going to make their own decisions. But I just think if I can be a good dad as possible, everything else will fall into place. And I view dad as being a leader to my family. I think that's really important. So that will be my purpose right now on this earth.
Beautiful. What a way to end the episode. I love it. Love it, Luke. Luke, I hope we stay in touch. I love that. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I love what you're doing. I will put everything in the show notes for anyone who wants to contact. I don't care where you are in the world, guys. If you want to touch base with Luke and Andy's Man Club and know more about it, I'll put all the information in the show notes for you to touch base. Luke, keep doing what you're doing, man. Let's stay in touch. I love it. I can't wait to publish this episode so everyone can share all this wisdom, take this wisdom from you and put it into their own life however they feel fit,
No, so, thanks for having me. Genuinely, man. It's been definitely up there with my favourite podcasts and conversations. It's been nice just to chat. It even felt like an interview or a podcast. It just felt like two blokes having a chat and delving deep on all weird and wonderful, wonderful things of life. So I genuinely...
That's all I want. Yeah, that's all I want, man. Absolutely.
I wish you all the luck in the world as well with it all, and I'm sure you'll continue to smash it.
I hope so. I definitely hope so. Well, there is many more things to talk about, but we'll get you back later in the year, maybe, if you can fit me in. That would be great, because I'd love to talk about your TEDx talks and all of that stuff as well.
100%. I'm game for that.
Because I'm aiming to do it. I've got my note here. It's still there.
Yes.
Anyway, from Luke and myself, over there in the UK, back in my home country, I can't wait to share this episode with you guys. But for now, keep leading your own way, everybody. Come back next week for another amazing episode, another amazing guest for another inspiring journey. Take care for now. And until then, speak to you soon. Thanks for listening and watching Leading Our Own Way. So we can stay together forever and share more incredible journeys, please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss next week's episode and what that amazing guest has to offer to the world. Please support Leading Our Own Way, and we'll get you on next week's episode.